All right, everybody. How's it going? This is Moumita Rahman. I'm here to talk to you about immigration, to the questions that you may have on your mind tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I'm an immigration attorney. I've been practicing immigration law for the past 15 years, and it is my pleasure to do the work that I do because I believe that immigrants make America great already. So, thank you for joining me on my channel. Thank you for following me. If you are a current client, thank you for trusting us with your case and for all the patience you have given us. And let's talk about immigration. But before I do that, make sure you follow me. Make sure you click the notification to turn on, get notified every single time I come live so you don't miss a thing, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. If you have a question about your immigration case, give me your question here in the box below, and I'll do my best to answer as many questions live that I can during the time that I have today. And let's go ahead and talk. The first thing that I definitely want to talk about is, do you still have to stay with your spouse if you want to get a green card and you are suffering in your relationship? All right, let's go ahead and do that. But go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions. Somebody's saying, I tried to message, but no one responded. Maz, we don't do text messages, and the best way to get a hold of us is to call us directly. Our telephone number is 212-248-7907, 212-248-7907. I see somebody's asking if I work in Washington State, and we work in every single state inside the United States because immigration is federal law, and we work all over the United States on immigration cases. So no matter where you are located, if you are looking for our help on your immigration case, don't let the distance be a barrier. As long as you're comfortable with it, we would love to help you file your immigration case. And to remind you, we are working on cases that involve VAWA, T visas, youth, and marriage green cards, okay? And I have a question from JLJ. Are they still accepting working papers? Yes, they are. There is a big common myth that immigration is not approving green cards, that immigration is not accepting any applications, that they're shut down. And this could not be further from the truth. This could not be further from the truth because on the daily basis, we are getting green cards and work permits approved for our clients. And it is a blessing for us. It is a blessing for the clients. And I'm so happy to be able to continue to do this work because I know that it's very scary out there. I know you're getting all this news about how the government is doing this, the government is denying that, the government is arresting this person and that person. If you go here, if you go there, it's bad news. And I'm not going to deny the fact that it is scary out there for immigrants right now, particularly if you look a certain way. If you look a little too brown or Latino, you might be targeted. It is definitely 100% true. But I still don't want you to give up on the fact that if you are eligible for something, it is time to apply because they have not stopped processing cases. They are not denying cases just because it's Trump, okay? Cases are still getting approved. Yes, it's true that some cases are getting a little bit more challenges and it's taking a little bit more time, but we are still getting cases approved. So I don't want you to give up. And remember that this government is temporary. They too will pass at some point, although it's going to be a long 3 more years, okay? I have a question. Vanessa, hello from Seattle. Hi, Vanessa. How are you doing? Due to the government shutdown, what is the status of immigration court from Vincent Alamia? A great question. Is the government shutdown going to affect your immigration case? Well, there are 2 things that you need to know. You need to know that detained and non-detained cases, EOIR, DHS, these are considered to be essential agencies, so they are not shutting down. Also, if you have an immigration interview at USCIS, this is also not going to shut down because USCIS is almost 100% funded, not by the government, but by you. Did you know that? When you file your immigration case, you are actually paying for your immigration officer. You're paying for the USCIS office to operate. So as a result, USCIS is not going to shut down during the shutdown, okay? All right, so let's answer this question. Do you still have to stay with your spouse to get your papers fixed? Particularly if you are suffering in your marriage and you're struggling to hold down, your spouse is constantly being manipulative of you, controlling of you. They don't want you to go out. Your spouse hurts you. Your spouse makes your life miserable. all because they are the US citizen with power, and now they believe they get to control everything you do in your life. Do you still have to put up with all of that in order to get your green card? And the answer is you may have another option. And there may be hope to get your papers fixed without making your life tied to the whims of somebody who does not have your best interest at heart. And there are a couple of ways that you might be able to do that. Primarily, if you are married to a United States citizen or to a green card holder, and your marriage is real, you entered into the marriage because you wanted to have a life together, you did live with your spouse for any period of time, you may qualify for something called a VAWA self-petition. And this is very important for you to know about because a lot of people do not know that this is an option. Also, a lot of people don't know that even if you have an unlawful entry, if you apply for the VAWA self-petition, you may be able to get your green card here inside the United States without leaving the US. This is something that's very, very important for you to know about, especially if you were told that the only way for you to get your papers through your spouse is for you to leave the country. But bottom line is that if you are married to a citizen or to a green card holder who keeps holding their status over you, over your head, and keeps reminding you that you are not worth it, that you are somehow inferior, that you somehow must listen to them or suffer all of their wrath, you may have an option to get your papers without them knowing, without them giving you permission, without them having to control every single step, and without living in fear that they will cancel your case through the VAWA self-petition. And we would love to help you with that. And if you, no matter where you live in the US, if your spouse is toxic, they're jealous, they're controlling, they don't let you go out, they don't want you to go work out because they don't want you to look too good, they accuse you of cheating all the time. If your spouse cheats on you all the time and expects you to put up with it and be okay with it, these are the things that are, for me, the things that I see in a lot of cases. So call us today, 212-248-7907. And similarly, if you already got a green card, through your US citizen spouse, and you have a 2-year conditional green card, but now your card is going to be expiring not too long from now, and your spouse is also threatening to divorce you, maybe they left the house, they kicked you out, or maybe they're simply just controlling every aspect of your life, you may also qualify to file the I-751 application to remove conditions by yourself. Now, I believe in everyone's essential dignity. I believe that your voice matters, and I also believe that you belong here. I believe that everything that you have gone through to make it this far in this country and everything that you have gone through is worth it. It deserves to be recognized, and you should not have to give up hope of your life here, of everything that you have built, just because of this one person who keeps controlling everything. Okay, and if you want to see how you can move forward without being attached to them, give us a call, 212-248-7907. Now, I want to reiterate that this does not require for you to get divorced. When you're married to somebody, it's very complicated, and maybe you're not there. Maybe you don't want to get divorced, and that's okay, because you do not need to get divorced to file for these cases. You can still be living with your spouse and file for these cases. So there's a lot of ways to do this case, so give us a call to find out, 212-248-7907. Okay, let's see. How to prepare for an RFE. Can we do it in advance as a precaution, from Nihar? Great question. How can you respond to an RFE, and can you just prepare for an RFE in advance? And the answer is not really. You can't really prepare for an RFE in advance, but what you can do is, if you're afraid that your case might not be strong enough, or if you are anticipating that maybe the government is going to challenge your case, then from the time you file your case until the time that you might potentially get a request for evidence, continue to collect evidence in your case, right? Like, let's say, I'm going to give you 2 examples. The first example is going to be for a joint marriage case with your spouse, and the second is going to be for like a VAWA self-petition. Now, if you filed a joint marriage case with your spouse, you and your husband or wife filed together the I-485 and the I-130, from the date that you file, continue. You must absolutely, actually for marriage green card cases, you have to continue collecting evidence, because Not only does it, oops, sorry guys. Not only is it important, not only is it, okay, it's gonna fall again. Give me 1 second, Instagram. Not only is it important that when you file your joint marriage case that you give a lot of evidence of your bona fide marriage with your case, but by the time you get called in for an interview, they're gonna want to see more. So if you're worried about getting a request for evidence in your marriage green card case, continue to have your joint bills, continue to file taxes together, continue to put everything into a folder every single month. You don't want to do it at the last minute. So every single month, put everything into a box or a folder. That way, if you do get a request for evidence, you're ready, right? Or if you get called in for an interview, you're ready. Next, if you have a VAWA case that you filed and you're worried about a request for evidence, then if your spouse keeps threatening you, or if they send you messages or whatever else they're doing, you can still continue to collect that evidence too, but you can't send it in advance. And there's no point in trying to prepare a response because you don't know exactly what the government is going to say. And also, you should live your life one day at a time, I would say, and get to a request for evidence if you actually have to get to it, okay? I hope that helps. Titus Glover, September 18th makes it exactly 3 years since I filed for VAWA, but no approval yet. Is this normal from Titus Glover? Yes, 100%, it's normal. I would say these days it's taking about 4 years to get VAWA approved, and then it could take up to 1 year for the processing of the I-485 afterwards. What do you think is going to happen with DACA from Love Pink Baby? Okay, let's talk about DACA because you guys need to know that DACA might be back on the table. This is amazing news. DACA might come back everywhere except, you guessed it, Texas. DACA initial applications may soon start to be accepted in every single state inside the US except Texas. And you need to know that if you have DACA, if you're able to apply for DACA, then you're also going to be able to not just get deferred action, but a work permit. Also, you may be able to apply for advanced parole to give yourself a legal entry to the United States. And lastly, everywhere except Texas, if you have DACA, you will be considered to be legally present in the United States. And this is the most important thing because a lot of people are afraid to even go outside, even with the work permit, because they're not sure if it counts as having a legal stay. But that's good news. So what I think is that, yes, I think DACA is going to come back. But no, I don't think it's going to come back in Texas. And if you live in Texas, then once this happens, you may want to move out of Texas to any place else so that you can get yourself a work permit and be legal. Aisha is asking, I have an I-751 pending based on battery for 2.5 months, and I'm divorced. Now, can I file for an N-400? Aisha, this is a great question. If you have an I-751 pending, should you just go ahead and file your N-400? And personally, what I recommend to clients is to let some time pass. Because what's going to happen is if you file your N-400 now, because you just filed your I-751, they haven't really had enough time to transfer it to a field office, and it creates like a messiness because it's two separate cases, and you might get scheduled for an interview before the N-400, but they're not going to approve your N-400 until you get your I-751 processed. So we have been in our office at a lot of situations where a client gets scheduled for an N-400, but the I-751 is still pending, and then we get to the office and the officer says, oh, I can't process your I-751 because I don't have the file didn't get sent to me. So I personally recommend to clients to have them wait a little bit of time. If you filed your I-751, let that maybe at least a year pass by and then file your N-400 if it's still processing. Now, Aisha, you just filed your I-751 2.5 months ago. So, by now it's not at a field office. So if you file your N-400 now, you might create that complication. But if you're willing to go multiple times to USCIS, go for it, okay? Can you travel with advanced parole when you are in process for an I-601 waiver from G. Juta? When you are filing for an I-601 waiver, there is no advanced parole. Okay, I just want to make that clear. Andrew John, hello. Andres Felipe, I'm so sorry. Andres saying my brother was deported 10 months ago and I was trying to fix his paperwork. I'm really, really terribly sorry to hear that, Andres. That definitely is, it's not great, and I can't imagine what you and your family are going through. You know, a lot of people come to me and ask, you know, if they can do anything to help their brother or sister who's here. And the answer is typically that if you're a US citizen, you want to help your brother or your sister, it's probably not going to work because, first of all, if you have a brother or sister here in the United States and you're a US citizen, they still can't fixture you here in the US because they are probably here without status. And also, the wait time for siblings can be anywhere from 10 to 25 years, depending on what country you're from. If you're from Mexico, China, India, Philippines, it's like a 20-year wait. And if you have a brother or sister who is here unlawfully and you're a US citizen, you want to find out how you can help your brother or sister, the best thing to do is for your sibling actually to give us a call. Give us a call, 212-248-7907, because it's really important to explore options that don't require family petitions on your case, because a lot of family petitions require legal entry and no unlawful status, which is very hard for people to fulfill because they've already been here for years on an expired visa or they came in unlawfully. Okay, Felipe, please, you know, accept my condolences during this time. I hope your brother is going to be okay wherever he is and that you can still see him from time to time. If you have a case and it got dismissed, can you travel international from World Boss British? World Boss British, good question. If you, I'm going to assume it's a criminal case that you're talking about. Can you still travel if you have a criminal case and it was dismissed? And the answer is yes, you could, but if you ever had a criminal charge, it's always going to be in the system, especially every single time you pass through Customs and Border Patrol at the airport. It's going to pull up as a flag on their system. They're going to take you into secondary inspection and possibly give you a hard time. Now, you can sometimes fix that by doing something called traveler's redress inquiry. However, it's gonna suck. So you can travel, but you know, be cautious of it. Vanessa, you say I have a friend that had a few. Yasser is asking, hi Moumita, my friend married from with a U.S. citizen. She has not had her adjustment of status interview yet. He mistreated her and she wants to file for VAWA. How can she avoid an NTA removal proceedings? From Yasser. Yasser, that's a very good question. If you have started a case with your spouse and you are afraid that if you don't continue the process with them, you're going to get denied and you're going to end up in removal proceedings, what is the risk, what is the harm, and what is the cost of you not taking action? Well, number one, if you are suffering in a marriage where your spouse is hurting you, hitting you, treating you badly, and you're waiting for your green card case to be approved, you know, a lot of people ask, should I stay? Should I go? Should I do this by myself? What's going to happen? And the honest truth is that you need to do what is best for you. So whatever you decide to do, I support you. What I would say is that I would hate to know that you are suffering unnecessarily, because the bottom line is that if you are being abused in your marriage and you have already your spouse filed for you, you may actually be able to convert that case into a self-petition and avoid staying in that bad, toxic, abusive, hurtful relationship. That is the beauty of VAWA. Now, if your I-485 ends up getting denied while you're trying to figure out what to do, or you're waiting to file your VAWA, and if you get sent a letter to court, that is not the end of the world. I want you to repeat after me. Getting sent to court is not the end of the world. Over the past 5-6 years, we have gotten dozens and dozens and dozens of cases dismissed from court just because we had filed a VAWA. And now, of course, it's a little bit harder to get those cases dismissed because the judges and courts now want to see that the VAWA is approved first. But we're still hearing reports from here and there that they're agreeing to dismiss on some places. And eventually, once you get your VAWA dismissed, you can go for adjustment of status in front of the judge, or you can ask them to dismiss it so you can go in front of USCIS. So if you have a marriage case in process and you get sent to court, it is not the end of the world. There is still a way forward. Yes, there might be some more complications and it's going to feel stressful, but that's why you need to work with attorneys that know how to handle these situations, okay? And if you want our help on your case for this, give us a call at 212-248-7907, okay? I called, but I was told that you're not a legal advisor. Well, I'm a lawyer, and I have a team of persons who can help decide how we can help you, okay? Is there anything to keep from marriage divorce before filing for VAWA, or is VAWA eligible for divorced spouse? What do they need if acting from divorce process from my Kunal Malhotra? Great question. So the question is, can you file for VAWA even if you're divorced? And the answer is yes, to an extent. There is a deadline of 2 years if you get divorced to file for VAWA. So the countdown starts the minute that your divorce decree gets entered in court, and you have exactly 2 years to file for VAWA prior to that. Now, what happens if the 2 years have already passed, so you're no longer eligible for VAWA? Well, good news, you may still qualify for something called a T visa. Now, the T visa you can do even if you were never married, okay? So we do the T visa for persons whose divorce deadline has already passed, or who were never married to a United States citizen, or there are other issues in the case. And especially if you're married to somebody who treats you like a servant, who physically hurts you if you won't have sex with them, or if you won't do the things that they say. They demand you cook and clean at certain times, and they just do not treat you like a spouse, but rather like a slave, then the T visa may be an option for you, okay? And this is important for you to know, especially if you got divorced more than 2 years ago, or if your spouse was never a U.S. citizen. Similarly, I do want to tell you that you don't always have to be married to the person in order to do a T visa. Did you know that we have done a lot of cases for people who were abused by their relatives? If you were here with an uncle, an aunt, another relative who said, come to the US, I'll take care of you, you can live with me, and you can, I'll help you get a green card. But the minute you come to the US, you find out that you now have to live in the basement. You've got to cook and clean all day long, or you have to pay them back for their hospitality, and they make you work in their store or in their restaurant. Did you know that you may qualify for a T visa through this? Now, this is just one example, but I want you to think about your relative. If they were already here in the US and they come and they make you work at their places of business, they tell you that you owe them money for coming here or for staying with you or for getting on your feet, and they treat you like a servant as well, this may also qualify for a T visa. And I've gotten many questions about T visas lately, about whether the government is still doing T visas, are they still processing T visas? And the answer is yes. The government is still accepting and processing T visas, and it is still an amazing way to be on the pathway to a green card, especially if you have no family to sponsor you, or you don't qualify for any of that because you've got the permanent bar or other serious immigration violations, okay? Give us a call, 212-248-7907 if you want to make an appointment. Can you help support a toxic and abusive husband built to win? Well, first of all, I'm an immigration lawyer, and my job is to help keep people here. So while I hate to hear anyone abusing anyone, I don't care if you're a U.S. citizen or not. Nobody deserves to be mistreated. My job is not to deport anyone. Una, my TV is not moving with you guys. Una, we're going to look into your case. We are working our best to move all the cases along. So we'll give you a call about your case, okay, Una? And I'm sorry about all the stress that's causing you. And I thank you for your patience, Una. Let me just take a picture. Okay, thank you for the follows, guys. Yes, and make sure you follow me. Make sure you turn on your notifications, because I go live at different hours and different times. You never know what I'm going to be on. And if you want to see me go live, you want to put on the notifications. Okay, thank you for the follows, guys. All right. Give me some questions. Some of you are asking the same question over and over again, and I've already answered it. Janam, do I have a case? I don't know what your question is, Janam. All right, let's go to YouTube. Emmanuel, hello. Hi, Emmanuel. If you already have a work permit under a pending asylum and you have a T visa case pending, do get another work permit. Emmanuel, thank you so much. So Emmanuel and anyone else who has an asylum pending or something else, can you basically hold 2 work permits at the same time? And the answer is yes. You can actually hold a work permit underneath asylum. You can hold a work permit underneath a green card application at the same time. But really, we have to wait to see when the main application gets approved, because whichever the main application is that gets approved, the latest one to get approved is going to basically be the status that you have. So for example, Emmanuel, if your asylum gets approved, then you would have a category A8 work permit, because that is only for people who have an approved asylum application. Now, if you have a T visa pending, let's say your T visa gets approved in its finality, then you would get another work permit for that. And technically, I think the T visa status would supplant the asylum one because it's the later one, and that's the one that you would be considered to have, okay? But yes, you can actually hold two work permits at the same time. Ultimately, what your final status is going to depend on what gets approved latest, okay? But thank you for following. Thank you for being a client, for trusting us, Emmanuel. So Vincent is asking, so non-detained cases are still on during the government shutdown? Yes, I believe so. Now here's the thing: if you know, because of this government shutdown, if you have a court hearing, please make sure you still show up to court, because if you have a court hearing and you don't show up to court, you will automatically be ordered removed in absentia. So unless your attorney tells you otherwise, make sure you go to court. I would still personally go to court just to make sure that I'm not missing anything, because it's that serious, okay? Can I travel to the US if I left and overstayed, but I've never overstayed my visa? Obrinique, Hannah. Obrinique, well, if you overstayed, it means you overstayed your visa. So if you overstayed your visa, if you leave the US, then the minute you leave, you might have a bar to re-enter the United States. Now, if you overstayed your visa, but you already left the US, if you come back, they're probably going to see at Border Patrol that you did overstay. Thank you. And they may deny you entry, even if your visa is not yet expired. After applying for VAWA, how much time does it take for travel documents? 6 to 10 months, I would say. I just got my 2-year green card. Is it safe to travel first international trip without my wife if she can't go? And that's a very good question. If you have a 2-year green card, is it safe to travel internationally alone? And the answer is yes, it should be okay, but you must be advised that Customs and Border Patrol can still ask you questions, and you better make sure everything is above water on your case, because sometimes they might try to inspect your phone. They might ask you a lot more questions about where your spouse is and those sort of things. So you want to make sure everything is above board, okay? All right, guys, if you have any desire to speak with me about how we can help you with your case, give us a call, 212-248-7907. We would love to get you set up with a case evaluation with my legal team, okay? 212-248-7907. And I want you to know that all hope is not lost, and you are worthy and you deserve dignity and respect. And I, of course, wish that we would see different from this government, but whatever way this government is treating us right now, it does not define your value as a human being, okay? My name is Moumita Rahman. Thank you so much for joining me. Good night and God bless.